Hi, everybody. This is Alan Ellman, the Blue Collar Investor, with today's option selling question of the day. I've titled this video Calls, Puts, and Exit Strategies. And I want to start off with an apology to you because in this video, I'm going to be using a lot of math. And so the reason I selected this for an Ask Alan video is because despite that, there is so much educational value to the series of trades that I'm about to present to you that I just couldn't resist using it. So hang in there and we'll go through all aspects of these trades. So once again, calls, puts, and exit strategies. A question from Gerald. Dear Alan, I'd appreciate your opinion on a series of trades I made with AEM attached. We'll show you the attached trades in the next slide. Now, Gerald asked 4 questions. Number 1, is the early assignment of the put rare? Was the purchase of the put a clever move? On 6/6/25, did I close the positions too early? And how do I calculate my total final returns? Thank you very much. Signed, Gerald. Now, these questions will all become clear as I show you the trades. So I know it's going to be a busy slide, but here is the attached series of trades that Gerald sent to me, and I highlighted some of them in various colors to make it easier to understand on first glance. My feeling is you'd really be best watching this video multiple times because there's so much inherent in these trades that we can learn from. So these are the trades with Agnico Eagle Agnico Eagle Mines Limited, which is a stock listed on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol AEM. All right, here we go. On 4/28/25, AEM was trading at 118.29. On that day, Gerald sold the 5/16, about 3 weeks out, 115 out of the money put at $2.35. That was a credit. So you'll see on this slide all the credits in green and all the debits in red. Okay, and you'll also see in yellow some of the highlighted prices of the stock along with other things that are important. Okay, so that was the put trade. Now on 5/15, now this, folks, is the day before the assignment. The expiration date was 5/16, but the day before, what happens? AEM was trading at 105. Remember, the 115 put was sold. So the put buyer has the right to sell their shares at 115, even though it's trading at 105. Very enticing. So at that point in time, I would ask, why didn't Gerald use our 3% guideline? 3% guideline says we close our put trade if the price of the stock drops 3% or more from the strike price of 115. That would be 111.55. Well, here it is on 5/15, and it was trading at 105. So that was a missed exit strategy opportunity there. So that's one thing we can learn from these trades. Okay, now there was early assignment, which is unusual, as you'll see in a second. And the shares were purchased, put to Gerald at $115, even though they were trading at market at 105. So there was an unrealized loss on the stock side of $10 per share. Unrealized meaning until he sells it, it's not actually a realized loss, but it certainly was a pretty hefty loss. Part of it has to do with the fact that he didn't abide by the 3% guideline. Okay, so now Gerald owns the shares when they were trading at 105. Now on 5/20, 5 days later, after the early assignment, 5/20/25, Gerald sold the 6/20/25, 115 out of the money covered call at 277. So now we're in a second cycle with the 6/20 expiration. The first one was 5/16. It's about a month out, right? And he generated $2.77 per share. Now, 2 weeks later, AEM was trading at 123.61. 5:15, it was trading at 105, right? A couple of weeks later, it was trading at 123.61. Gerald was on a real life roller coaster ride. So what happened? The next day, Gerald bought the 120 put out of the money compared to the price of 123.61 at $2.15. So that was a debit. So you see all the debits are in red and the credits are in green. Okay. So I viewed this as a protective put. I mean, AEM was all over the map, right? So when it was trading at 123, he decided to lock in the most it can go down to the 120. All right. I mean, that's how I viewed it, that he was doing, he didn't say it, but that's how I viewed it, that he was doing a protective put. Next day, oh my goodness, AEM went from 123.61 to 118. Yes, folks, the roller coaster ride continues. So what did he do? Well, he bought back the 115 call at $5. That's the one he sold at 277, right? He also sold the 120 put at 430. So he made money on the put. He bought it at 215. He sold it at 430. So he made money on the put. He lost money on the call. But what happened was he was able to sell AEM shares at 117.67, which was a gain of 267 per share from the price that those shares were purchased at the 115 when the put was exercised. Well, that is sure a lot of trades and sure a lot of numbers that we're going to make some sense of as we move forward. All right, let's look now at the first question that Gerald posed to me. Is early assignment of the put rare? The answer is yes. Typically, traders will, if they want to sell the share, they will allow exercise after 4 p.m. Eastern time on expiration Friday. If there is a time value component to that put that the put buyer owns, could simply sell the put and then buy the shares and make more money. So it is rare, but obviously it happens. So that answers question number one. Number two, was the purchase of the put a clever move? I would say it's a reasonable trade. It serves as a protective put on a stock that was literally all over the map. So yeah, I would say that is a reasonable trade that Gerald made with that one. And so what he did was, in essence, if we were going to look at the technical terminology, he converted the covered call trade with the protective put and created a collar trade. Right. Now, did I close the positions too early on 6/6? That was 15 days prior to contract expiration. Now, I'm going to give Gerald the benefit of the doubt on this one. He may have just simply had enough with this wild roller coaster ride that was going on since he started these trades. And he may have said, you know what, I just can't take it anymore. I want out. I could close everything at a profit. I'm going to do that. So if that was his rationale, I'm with him 100%. But generally, when you enter a covered call trade, you follow our 20%, 10%, buy to close, good till cancel guidelines, which are limit orders, instructing the broker as to when to buy back the call option. That's what we would use 98% of the time. But again, if Gerald just wanted out on this trade, no problem with that. All right, finally, how do I calculate my total final returns? This part is a little bit tricky, and this is where a lot of the math comes in. And I'm going to show you two different spreadsheets, one for the put side and one for the call side. What you're looking at now in this slide is this is the put side of the trade. Now, what I did, all the left to right columns in the spreadsheet, I piggybacked on top of each other. So the top row is the 118 price when the put trade was initiated, 118.29. The 115 out of the money put generated 235. It's a 19-day trade if taken through contract expiration. Obviously, it was closed 1 day earlier. And in the brown cells, oh, by the way, His break-even price point on that trade was lowered from 118.29 to 112.65. One of the advantages of doing cash secured puts is you're lowering your break-even price point. Now, the initial returns, 2.09%, which annualizes out to 40.08% based on that 19-day trade. Now, if the price of AEM goes from 118.29 to below that 115 strike at expiration, well, then shares will be purchased at that break-even price point, 112.65, which represents a 4.77% discount in the 19 days. Now, what happened? On 5/15/25, exercise took place, right? And the price of the stock at the time of exercise was $105. Yikes. That was a loss of $10 per share, but unrealized. In other words, the shares were not sold. So on the option side, we're still on the put trade, folks, plus 2.09% on the option side, right there in the green. And then in the red, we have a loss of 8.7% unrealized on the stock side, netting out to a net unrealized loss of 6.79% on the put trade. Let's move now on to the covered call trade. Remember, shares were put to Gerald at 115, but they were trading at 105 at the time. He sold the 115 out of the money call at actually 277. What I did here to make an adjustment and keep everything on one spreadsheet is I included here the put credit. Remember, he bought the put at 215 and sold it at 430. So I calculated that in and changed 277 to 492, just so you know how I got that. You could do this on separate spreadsheets, but I like to do it all in one whenever possible. Okay, you could see the break-even price point on the covered call trade was $100.08, and there was upside potential of 9.52%, and a lot of that was actually realized by the end of the trade. So what happened? Well, he closed it early. He closed it. He bought back the option, and he sold the stock, okay? And it cost him $5 to buy back the option, but he was able to sell the shares at 117.67. Right. So on the option side for the covered call trade, with the net credit, including the put and the net debit, it came out to a small loss of minus 0.08%. But on the stock side, there was a realized gain of 12.07%, resulting in a net credit on the covered call trade, along with the put credit of 11.99%. So let's now combine everything over this 39-day period. On the put trade, there was an unrealized loss of 6.79%. On the covered call trade, including the put realized credit, there was a net gain realized of 11.99%. When you take the two together, there was a realized 39-day return of 5.2%, annualizing out to 49.51%. So this story does, in fact, have a very happy ending. Now, Gerald executed a series of winning trades, certainly. Had he abided by our 3% guideline, he could have potentially done even better, a lot better. So reevaluating trades like these, in my humble opinion, is really one of the best ways to enhance our skill sets regarding option selling or any kind of option trading, actually. Now, again, I'm sorry about all the math. Yeah, blame it on Gerald, not me. But again, I think that there is so much great educational value to this series of trades, and I really, really appreciate Gerald sharing these with me. Now, you want to master these strategies, go to our store at thebluecollarinvestor.com, look at best packages, or build your own toolkit to get items individually. I'm just going to briefly name our three best packages, and I'll put links for you. You can click on those links to see the videos. In our BCI package, and best and most comprehensive investment package, that's our main package. You get 6 online video courses, about 2 hours each, 6 spreadsheets developed by the Blue Collar Investor, 5 of our best-selling books in ebook format, and best of all, our 13-month premium membership, where you get 4 reports of eligible option selling candidates, along with over 250 training videos and dozens of downloads and resources. Our trade management calculator package, you saw that spreadsheet in action in this Ask Alan video. That's a must, that spreadsheet. You must have it if you're doing covered calls and cash secured puts. Comes with that spreadsheet and a PDF version of my 8th book, Exit Strategies for Covered Call Writing and Selling Cash Secured Puts, 27 chapters of exit strategy information. It also comes with a 28-page user guide for this spreadsheet. The third of our best discounted packages is our CEO package, combining exit strategies, combining exchange traded funds with stock options. It includes 2 spreadsheets developed by BCI, one to help you set up your portfolios, factoring in diversification and cash allocation, and another one to archive your trade results and compare it to that of the S&P 500. It also comes with a PDF of my 9th book, Covered Call Writing, a Streamlined Approach. It's a great way to generate weekly and monthly cash flow for those with extremely busy schedules. Now, with that CEO package, folks, you can get it as a standalone product. You can combine it with the TMC package, or you can get all 3 packages and own everything offered by the blue collar investor for one discounted price. Or, as I said, you can go to the store and go build your own toolkit and purchase items individually. Folks, that ends this Ask Alan video. This is the 236th one that I produced, calls, puts, and exit strategies. Once again, I want to thank Gerald very much for providing me with these trades and allowing me to share it with the BCI community. And I want to thank all of you out there for taking the time to watch and listen to this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And most importantly, I hope you benefit from it. As always, this is Alan Hellman, the Blue Collar Investor. Take care, everybody.